Welcome back to another video. Team T is ℂ𝕝𝕒𝕟𝕕, and let's get right into this video. I've been doing more reaction type videos, more story times. I thought this would be a perfect video to shoot just because it's so relevant in this given time and everybody's talking about it. Unfortunately, I've been super busy, not surprisingly, so I haven't been able to really keep up with this Johnny Depp trial altogether. But I decided to spend like 30 minutes, an hour, sort of catching up where I can. It's very amusing. A lot of people were saying it's amusing. I didn't know much about it until actually yesterday when I saw this short clip about it on Instagram where Johnny Depp was making people laugh and so on. So I thought this is pretty interesting. One thing I do want to point out for those people watching this trial, it is very exciting. It doesn't show one thing though, and that's the amount of effort that goes into everything in terms of preparing for the trial itself. You know, a lot of time goes into it. I know the main focus isn't, oh, lawyers are spending a lot of time and money and resources and so on and so forth on this trial, and more focused on the allegations and sort of the story and background facts and so on. But a lot of work goes into it, you know, even leading up to trial, all the hours and hours and hours of paperwork, reading, drafting, so on and so forth. So I do want to mention that. I know that's not the real highlight and that's not what people find entertaining, but just understand that a lot of time and effort goes into these things before you even get to the trial, where everything's sort of presented to you in a more fascinating way, more detailed way. You kind of get the end product, sort of if you're like baking a cake from scratch. You don't see all the effort that goes into it, but if you're the one eating it at the end, you're sort of just enjoying it, and that's sort of what this trial seems to be like. You're enjoying all the funny moments, all the interesting times, all the allegations. Maybe you're getting mad at some of the stuff being said and so on. But yeah, so quick overview of everything I read. I got my handy dandy laptop. As you guys know, I used to use my iPad, but it's charging right now. So yeah, so very interesting. Let me know if I missed anything that you guys personally find interesting. I know there's a lot of different things that's being said in trial. It's hard to catch up in only a 30-minute period when cross-examinations and so on and so forth are lasting hours. But it seems like Johnny Depp sued his ex-wife for $50 million over an article that dates back a few years, in which she claimed that she was a survivor of domestic abuse. So, which gets more interesting. I understand that she's actually countersuing him for $100 million, saying that the allegations by her attorney and presumably him were essentially conflated to the point where they're actually false. So it's this back and forth. I think that sums it up pretty well. If somebody's suing their former spouse for $50 million and there's a countersuit for $100 million, you kind of understand exactly where the trial is going. And the trial does not disappoint based on what I saw. It's this sort of back and forth. He said, she hit me, he hit me, and so on. So it's exactly what you would anticipate from this, just from that simple headline of, oh, $50 million suits, $100 million countersuits. The fact that the amount Amber is suing for is double kind of says, you know, they're trying to one-up one another on the allegations and the amounts they're requesting. So really interesting, actually. His examination, from what I saw, sort of reflects his temper. We saw him, you know, shutting like cabinet doors and stuff, seemed pissed off, grabbed the camera like out of nowhere, just snatched it when he saw it was recording. Obviously, we don't know how often that happens. I'm assuming as you watch the cross-examination, you sort of see all the highlights of him having a temper. There's interesting stuff about drug abuse, which I found interesting. The most interesting part about it was they were talking about him doing cocaine with Marilyn Manson. I think there's also a segment where he talks about how he gave Marilyn Manson a pill just to shut him up because he was talking too much, and Johnny is trying to essentially make the people laugh, maybe make the jury laugh. Obviously, you want to be on the jury's good side. They might have biases to begin with, considering they're dealing with a high-profile actor like Johnny. So, I think he's trying to kind of play the part of being sort of the funny, fun-loving guy and sway the jury in that respect. Not surprising, but I thought that was kind of interesting that they threw Marilyn Manson like under the bus. Is like we probably could assume Marilyn Manson does drugs. I think it's easy to assume that, but the fact that Marilyn Manson has nothing to do with this and he got thrown under the bus just by being an innocent bystander in a situation, essentially, I thought was kind of funny. It's like, wow, why would you throw him under the bus? There's audio recordings that I thought that were interesting, showing that he was getting hit. So it's like conversations about him getting hit. I think there's also conversations about him headbutting her on audio. I think there's a viral clip of the audio as well, where she says she wasn't hitting him. She just punched him or something along those lines. Or she didn't punch him. She was hitting him, and she called him a baby about it. I thought that was sort of messed up. You don't want to downplay what you're doing. Obviously, if somebody's accusing you of something that's completely wrong, I understand it, but it doesn't necessarily seem like she's completely innocent, at least the way she's portraying herself. So, to even say that, I wasn't punching you or you're a baby and so on and so forth, you don't want to downplay how somebody feels. So that's a bit messed up. I think something interesting that came out of the audios actually was him saying he was running off to bathrooms or bedrooms, and she was sort of downplaying that as well, and trying to make it sound like a bad thing. I think it's actually pretty mature to sort of escape a situation where things are leveling up and people are getting angry when it comes to relationships and stuff, especially when you're getting mad. I think it's good to sort of spend some time apart just to cool down, and I think a lot of people could agree with that. So I feel like Johnny was definitely being mature in that. There's nothing I wouldn't say is running away whatsoever as Amber tries to portray it. I think it's just being mature and understanding that not much is going to get done by two angered minds, and you should at least spend some sort of time alone to sort of reflect, calm down, and so on. There's also the interesting part about the headbutt situation. They're sort of disagreeing. A lot of this is disagreeing is sort of, oh, I did this to you, or you're saying you did this to me, but that's not what happened. This is what happened, and so on and so forth. So they're both sort of downplaying what they might have done, while saying that the other person is the one who did this and that. And I think a lot of people are agreeing more with Johnny, saying that Amber was generally the aggressor. I'm not really sure because I haven't been able to take a deep dive in. But, it seems like a lot of things, suggest that she probably was an aggressor. I don't know enough to actually say that. You guys might feel otherwise. I'm not really sure. But one thing to point out that's very important is the fact that if you have to record all this, you got audio recordings, you have video recordings about your significant other being aggressive, having a temper, and what have you, then you probably shouldn't be in that relationship, to be honest. Like, clearly it's toxic. You have evidence that it's toxic. You're recording it because you understand that it's toxic, or you're not accepting the fact that it's toxic and you're just recording it because it is, but not really accepting it or finding a better way to go about things or leaving and so on. So I think that's sort of interesting that it was so toxic and they both understood that it's toxic in one way or another, since they were recording all this, but neither one of them really wanted to leave, it seems like. And all of this kind of built up over time, and eventually they did get a divorce. But it's like, they didn't draw the line that soon, so all of the activities or events essentially added up. So it's kind of interesting, you know, that they didn't walk away any sooner. So that's interesting. I mean, his finger got severed, which was another interesting thing. I haven't really been able to read up on that, but it seems very gruesome to say the absolute least. You got the whole affair or alleged affair between Amber Heard and James Franco. James Franco just randomly getting thrown under the bus as well. But maybe, unlike Marilyn Manson, James Franco probably has it coming if he was spending time with somebody that was married already. So that's interesting. So a lot of interesting things coming out of this. Very interesting trial. I might actually make a part 2 of this video if you guys are interested in watching that. I think I'd be interested in, I said interested like a million times, we should have had a counter, but I think it would be really cool to like analyze everything and like read up on different things that are happening. It's definitely a fascinating trial to say the absolute least. But that is all I have for you guys. I will be recording another video that just talks about, it's more of a reaction video to a compilation someone made about Johnny Depp being funny in court. So I'll probably be reacting to that as well. Thank you all for watching. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Check out the clothing brand, triumphflow.com. Triumph, your dreams await.